Mike Moore Media, the first place to hear Rockingham County news and information.
On our media line, Rodney Cates, Director of Rockingham County Emergency Services 911. Hey, Rodney, good to have you back. How are you?
Yes. Good morning, Mike. Good to be back. We're doing good. Hope you are.
I'm doing great, too. We missed last month, my fault, so it's always good to talk to you. Before we get to anything else, we really haven't talked since the river rescue, and I know there were so many people involved in that, so maybe you could just kind of close that up for us there, Rodney.
There were many people involved, many people on the forefront, many people behind the scenes that made all of that made us able to mitigate that in the manner in which we did. And we're just very thankful and grateful for all those people. People sent us comments about thoughts and prayers. People sent food. They wanted to donate food. And then on the forefront, our responders, we had, those responders for the most part are volunteers. Actually, all of them that responded to those events were volunteers. Mm-hmm. Other than the sheriff's deputies and the EMS personnel who are on the forefront each day. But we had a lot of people, the water rescue teams and the people that are actually on the water. Those people are volunteers, and they volunteered their time. They came out. I've heard a lot of them call and say that they had called their employer and told them that they couldn't be at work that day because they had a water rescue mission. So they used their sick time. They used their personal leave or whatever they had to do, from their full-time employment in order to serve our community and to help mitigate that situation. So very tragic situation, but perhaps the silver lining on the backside of it was that the amount of dedication that we have in this county from our first responders of all avenues, the fire departments, the rescue, the water rescue team, those that came out and offered time. So it was, again, a tragic situation. It took us 20 days to make the final recovery, but when we were able to make that final recovery, that was actually on July 5th, when it was on a Monday, when everybody, again, was off work for the holiday weekend, but people poured out in support and assisted however they could. So certainly a tribute to the dedication that is within this county.
It really is, and I don't know if you've added up man hours involved and all of that, but it certainly speaks well to people who care right here in in Rockingham County on so many levels, doesn't it?
It does. Exactly right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, our thanks to everyone. I was talking to your 911 people when I make my morning calls, and we were talking recently about 911 hang-ups and what's involved in that. Maybe it's an accidental call, or but what's the process of that? Because you have to follow through with that. But I want to make sure that people know that if they accidentally call, that they need to be responsible enough to kind of follow through, stay on the line, or whatever is involved to make sure that the ball doesn't start rolling for somebody to go to that address.
Right, and we do get those very frequently. People start to dial a number and accidentally dial, more digits, or if they're trying to dial the 911, the 919 area code, they actually accidentally hit 911. So we encourage people to stay on the line. It's no fault. We're all guilty of it. We've all done it at some point, or if we hadn't, we will at some point accidentally make that dial. Cell phones will if you sit on them or they're in your pocket and you hit them, they can hit to the emergency response and dial 911. So it's not at all an uncommon occurrence that we have. But what we encourage people to do is stay on the line. You're not going to be talked to in any harsh manner for dialing 911. We understand that those things occur. So we ask people to stay online, verify their information, verify that they don't truly have a need for 911, and that's what they're going to be asked. Do you need fire, police, or EMS? And they're going to verify a telephone number, and they're going to verify the location that they're at. Once that's verified, we send that information to the proper jurisdiction. Typically, they are okay with that information, and they don't have to make a response. But for those that don't stay online and they see that they've accidentally dialed 911, they immediately hang up. When we pick that line up, we don't have anybody on the other end. So studies have shown that in domestic situations or crimes of violence, a lot of times people are caught. A domestic situation, if if one party is being injured or being threatened, and they think, well, I'll call 911, and the aggressing party then looks at them and says, no, you put that phone down, don't call 911. That a lot of times could be the result of a 911 hang-up. So we have to follow up on those, and if we don't have any type of verification information to send to the officers, then it's an automatic dispatch, and we dispatch law enforcement agencies to the location. Our technology and the 911 center will plot that cell phone. You know, the majority of calls we have come off of cell phones, but our technology will plot where that cell phone is at. So we have an address. Usually it's pretty accurate. So we can send resources to where that telephone call comes in at. And if we can't verify that information, we do make a dispatch. So people could expect to see a law enforcement officer at their location if we're not able to verify that information.
Okay. Well, that's very helpful. And you mentioned today's technology. In river rescues we've had recently, water rescues, cell phones have been critical just to kind of track that call, hasn't it?
It has, and even our responders on the water. There's technology now, when we utilized it when we had responders on the water. There's technology that they can utilize. They can actually, if they're on the water and they get in trouble, they could dial 911 back, and there's a software called Rapid SOS. It'll actually plot exactly where they are. So if we had to pinpoint a location or while on the river, if we were finding pieces of evidence that we needed to track, that was a method that we could use in that to track exactly where these elements were that we needed to track and trace. So, yeah, the technology is certainly on the forefront, and it allows us to pinpoint a lot of things.
Yeah, I know you've been doing this a while, and just to see the changes in that over the years. But it all comes back to what you were saying right in the beginning, Rodney. It comes back to people and trained and in responding to situations of life and death in many cases. And it's the people that make it happen too.
You're correct, and it is a lot of training, and the training is ever evolving. You know, what we're trained on this week may change, and we push out new training and keep everybody updated. But keeping our people updated from all avenues, from the 911 center to the EMS crews to our first responders, keeping all of these people updated with the latest technology and the latest things that we can provide them with are life-saving measures for those that are in need. So it's certainly a positive situation.
Yeah. Well, thanks to everyone for sure. We appreciate that service here in Rockingham County, our first responders and everyone. Is there anything else we need to mention? I just wanted to kind of catch up on a couple of things with you.
No, I think overall we'll keep our eye. You know, it's hurricane season, and granted, we've talked about this before. We're not on the coast, but that doesn't mean we can't certainly feel the impacts of hurricanes and watch where they track. So the tropics are not overly active right now, but September is the busiest month, and that's coming up for us. So we'll keep our eyes on the tropics and make sure we don't have anything that we need to prepare for there, and hopefully we don't. But just in the back of our minds, we need to be mindful that though we're not on the coast and we don't take the brunt of the hurricane, certainly they can track this area through this area and bring enormous amounts of rain and sustained winds for good periods of time. So through the rest of August into September and October, we'll certainly monitor that and stay on top of it for any updates we need to push out.
Okay, great. Rodney, thanks again. Always good to talk to you. Hope you have a good week.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you.
Bye. All righty, there's an update for the month of August from Rodney Cates, Director of Rockingham County Emergency Services 911. Please check out the county's website, myrockinghamcountync.com, and to get a little closer to home there, on Facebook, Rockingham County Emergency Services.